Good evening. Welcome to the School Building Committee meeting for April 8th, 2014. We have Pam Lundquist from the School Committee with us tonight.
Hi,
Thanks for
Pam.
coming, Pam. Okay, we'll start with the approval for the March 11th, 2014 minutes for the Georgetown Middle High School. Are these the ones you had an issue on, or were they the Pembroke ones?
No, those are Pembroke.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on those? All in favor?
I will
Opposed?
abstain because I was not here.
Okay. I'm abstaining as well. Is anybody opposed? I was trying to get that out. Okay. Motion carries. With 3 abstentions.
Nice dinner.
Your bread and jelly was good.
What did we do today? Okay. Next thing is, there's only one invoice from DRA for March 2014 for $2,500. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the March invoice for Georgetown Middle High School for $2,500.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in
What's that
favor?
for?
So how much,
DRA.
how much, we just got a few $1,000s left in the feasibility account?
Yeah. We're down
to take us to town meeting.
Yep.
And municipal is done.
Well, we have two left. You had 83.
We have $30 we haven't billed yet.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
so they're pretty much done.
They're done.
Okay.
Like bleeding that one out, huh, guys?
We ran it right down there. Yeah, you have,
We have a couple thousand left.
yeah, there's not much left. I haven't looked into the right number.
So this is for
Yeah, there's like $4,000 or $5,000 left.
$2,500, and it's for DRA. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Submit, please. Okay, no correspondence, no old business. Okay, so on March 26th, 2014, we went into the MSBA for their board meeting, and they did approve the renovation project for the middle high school. So the total project budget was $7.8 million, with a maximum MSBA grant of $3.8 million and Georgetown share of $3.9 million. And it was very interesting being in there. There were a ton of, I was amazed at the amount of roof replacements and roof repairs. That had to be the highest concentration of any projects that they had.
Really?
It was really, yeah,
What kind of roofs were they trying to replace?
schools.
No, I know that, but were they all rubber roof or?
Rubber roofs.
They don't get into detail like that. I mean, they just have, where's my little, they put it up, they put everything up on a screen, and they tell you everybody who's going for what and everything like that, and they have it broken down by the different place where they are in the process. And there were just a ton of roofs, and even if they had a couple other things, there was like a roof added. So, anyway, I just thought that was just a little interesting fact. They have, yeah, it doesn't say what type of roof that they were, but,
They're various, it depends
They're
on
all-
what the school is.
yeah. But, just an interesting fact that I noticed.
Yeah, I was reading an article about the maintenance and construction of buildings today. And it says it's not that they're not constructed correctly, it's that the materials that come out are the ones that deteriorate. And that's why they're not lasting as long as those that were prior to 1960 it was constructed. You know, those old materials are lasting.
Right,
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, and that's what we run into.
that was interesting.
25, 30 years, we gotta replace.
It's the faster, cheaper model.
Right.
That's society today. Everybody wants everything faster
And cheaper.
and cheaper. So anyway, so that's great news, because basically, you know, we're just about at our 50% reimbursement rate. So that was all good news. I don't know if you guys have anything else that you would like to add about the approval of the.
There was one sort of follow-up there, that part of the approval still requires that the plans go through the Department of Education for their review. And they still had one lingering comment that we have to follow up with Carol on. It's
Did you say
really
this?
fine tuning.
Okay,
They mainly look at the special ed spaces in the school. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that even in the so-called limited renovation project, you know, we're not reconfiguring the whole school by any means, but still, they're looking at it the way they would look at a new school, I think. They want to make sure that all the special ed spaces are not all clustered together, you know, especially at the end of some hallway or something like that. They want them distributed. They want them in the flow of the school. Again, it's all about integration and that sort of thing. And so, at one time, we had, if you remember, this is the first floor. Here's the office area. This used to be the special ed area. This used to be the teachers' workroom. The special ed folks are going back to Pearlie, so that space is freed up to be classroom use. The teachers, we moved inboard so that the special ed space could have the windows on the perimeter of the building. At one time, we had 2 special ed spaces there. They didn't like that, 2 spaces side by side, so we moved one upstairs. They said that was fine, but they took a closer look. Here's a blow-up of it, of this space. There's an in-school suspension room right there too. And just to save a few dollars, we had, this is a block bearing wall of the original school, so we were making just one penetration in, and then going into the suspension room and going into the special ed room.
They want a door.
They didn't like that either, so we now are coming into suspension separately from this, so that there's no confusion, because, you know, these are bad kids in school suspension, these are special needs kids, not the same category.
So the original school was inside that dotted line,
Yeah, the original school was right there, yeah,
60, was that 62?
something like that, yeah. And this is just a general classroom, but even there, they had a little bit of question about that, just thinking it's not in the flow of things, and we're trying to resubmit this plan, and with some words from Carol, explain how, you know, this is the academic area now, this is the flow of things, you know, entering this classroom right here off the same, you know, major pathway here is in the flow of things, so. So we still need to get sign off on that from the Department of Education in order to get the, ultimately to get the project funding agreement signed, I think, by MSBA. So that's in process.
How close is the bathroom with the special needs children?
They have their own right in there,
Their own.
in that one.
Right?
Mhm. Yep.
alright, so do we need to wait before like proceeding for anything for town meeting on
No,
that, or
no,
is that?
no, we're
These are
Just
mine.
a
free to
little-
go.
Okay, alright,
Mhm.
Where's
Check.
that chorus room? The one
It's
that's
right,
gonna,
right next to it, just on the corner of the plan here, right here, it's right there, and, you know, if, this is a new corridor being created here. You know, right now, it's sort of dead ends,
so that's like a stadium seating in the chorus room?
just risers,
Yeah.
right, to set chairs on for singing, yeah,
Like the music room.
yeah, yeah. So, as we said, we just are waiting on a few words from Carol to make part of the submission, and then we'll resubmit these plans to them. Should take care of it. And again, you know, especially when they understand that these plans over here, the areas in green show the areas that we're touching, they'll understand this is a limited renovation project.
Right.
It's not as though we have, you know, a free hand here to move things around and come up with an idealized plan, so.
okay. Great. Chuck, do you have anything
Nope,
to
that
add?
was it. That summed it up.
Okay, sounds good.
Carl, it's the last piece of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, actually, I was hoping Eric was gonna be here. So, town meeting date,
May 5th. Election
And then-
May 12th.
5th, and then election will be May 12th. Okay, I know at the last meeting, Eric had discussed, doing some type of an informational meeting, I think, for like the last week in April. So I will, we'll make sure that gets scheduled. Does anybody have, and as far as like the warrant and funding, all that stuff, Mike, you're good with, you have everything you need? Okay. Anybody has any questions on any of that?
How, were you doing the flyers and things? No?
I don't know, exactly if we're gonna do flyers or, what we're gonna do, actually. I mean, I've talked to Ellie a little bit about it. We are gonna do either, do an interview or something like that with the Georgetown Record to get information in, from the Georgetown Record, and, if we do flyers or something like that, we'll send them out to you, but we haven't done anything as of yet,
Mhm.
so. Tours, oh, and then the other thing we had talked about was maybe doing, tours of the middle school, offering the public some tours just to show them, just some of the spaces that we're talking about, renovating. So whether we do that right before a town meeting, or plan a Saturday or something, that's something that still has to be worked out, but I think that's a good idea. All right, and then, the proposed schedule, is that for, what we plan if it passes the town meeting?
Yeah, we have it in the schedule, we're working with Carl's office. From the time you approve it at town meeting, we're giving about 9 months for them to put all the drawings and everything together. Not that they need the 9 months for a project this size, but it ties well into vacation periods and bidding periods and a whole bit. So we bid it the following year, February, March of 2015, and construction starts right after that. Again, we're giving it 9 months because we're gonna do it on and off season, so you're not moving everybody around all the time. So it ties in very well with the completion of the new school as well.
Yep. And then,
It's probably more time than you need to do a job like this, but we're doing it just so that it's all coordinated well.
How about
Right.
coordinate it with the turf field, would that have a problem with the staging area for,
No, because we wouldn't use the field, we wouldn't even consider using a field for, a football field for just a aging area, because then we'd have to
Aren't they
repair it,
completing
replace
it this summer, the football field?
Yeah, we
Think
won't
so.
tie into
Yeah,
it.
it'll be done by. the
How
time-
long is construction for this? Just the
We're-
summertime?
We have 9 months schedule in there, but we're not gonna need it all.
Just in case, we may take a
Look at the
couple
back of
school
this.
months, I think,
Right.
the fall semester we could isolate that space down in the lower level and let the contractor finish up in there during the school year, but, hopefully the bulk of the work is done during the summer.
Right.
There shouldn't be any asbestos in this school, right?
There's some asbestos tile, in the lower level corridor that has to come up. That's in the budget, it's in the program, not a big deal, take that out.
okay, anybody else have anything on the middle high school? No? All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.
Who has those invoices? Collect those.
Has that already been scheduled with them?
I talked to Barbie. Good evening. Welcome to the School Building Committee meeting for April 8th, 2014 for the Pembroke School project. Okay, first order of business is the approval of the March 11th, 2014 minutes. Barbie?
Yeah, there were some things that I felt that Chuck will go over.
Yeah.
So we'll bypass that, I recommend.
I would agree. Well, actually, that Tilly and I had, it's a long story, but I tried to focus. You guys had a lot of heated discussion not heated, but protracted discussion that last night because it was on the Fourth Fields and Conservation Commission. I tried my best to keep up, and I think I missed it completely. So she and I are gonna go over it. So it'd be my suggestion, just table them.
Okay, so we're gonna table
Let's
the
go over 'em.
minutes until next time.
I missed it completely.
It's understandable. Too many people
You
talking
guys
at
were
once.
flying that night. So we'll fix them.
Okay. Next are our project invoices for March, which come to a total of $2,770,162.54. So I would like to make a motion to approve the March invoices for the said amount.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions on the March invoices? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, good. You can just pass that around. I'll drop these off tomorrow.
Preet, bring these tomorrow, sign them there.
Yeah, that's what I told her. She called me.
Okay.
Yeah, close the door, but
Yeah.
because I'll bring them.
Your shirt.
Or is it a pencil?
They just needed to
Okay.
see the front page.
Yeah. Hopefully they wanted to see the back. But
Do I
So
really?
the first thing, do you guys wanna give us an update on the construction progress for the Pembroke School?
Sure. I hope you get a chance to drive by. If you've not given a chance to drive by, the big news this week was the setting of the beam that was all signed by the kids and a little bit. That was real cool. We have some great photographs we're gonna get out to everybody. I have a handful of them, and I know Mike Anderson took a bunch of them.
Actually, whose idea was that, to have the kids sign it? Cause that was a very.
We do that a lot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a really great thing you guys did.
We do that a lot.
I think-
It's a real good idea.
And Peter, thank you for lending a
What did
truck
you put on
to
top
take it
of the
over to
beam?
Pearlie. That was great.
They usually put it was
Flag
right
or-
in,
An American
they usually
flag?
put a flag and a tree.
Yeah.
They've not finished that part yet because they're still flying steel over it now as they go.
Okay.
So they're just setting the rest of the
Literally
roof
flying it
trusses
over
right
it.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really, they're there now, as a matter of fact. The steel workers are still there now,
Oh,
tonight.
wow.
And they'll be there tomorrow and tomorrow late. They're trying, the schedule for the steel is, it's all here on site. And the roof trusses for the gym, the peak trusses, those are all here. They're laying on the ground, ready to go up. They're gonna work on those, probably set most of those tomorrow. And do some fine tuning on Thursday. And they're gonna take the crane off site by the end of the week. They need it, because they're done. I mean, they need it for another project, but they're also done flying all the heavy steel up, so that part is finished. That's a huge milestone to be done. To be able to get that steel done through the winter we had was still tremendous. I mean, they worked really hard on it. So that's good. Around the site, they started putting in all the water utilities, the pipes for the storm drainage is ongoing. Getting the roads to rough grade. If you drive up there now, you can actually see the road cut going up and around the knoll of trees and coming out in front of the school. The access road drive is all cut down. It's cut way down below to where the finished grade is gonna be because they have to bring it all up. The water line is already tapped in the street, passed through the Johnson property and up into the access road, so that work is done. Right now, there's a gravel drive put back in for the road. Mike informed us tonight that all the final paperwork was signed between the abutter and the town, so that's done. So we'll get pricing now from the contractor to do the improvements around her house, the driveway and the turnoff and the walks and all that. We're getting pricing now from the contractors. We're gonna go over that with the contractors tomorrow. So that's good news. The site work keeps, like I said, keeps on going. It's nonstop. They must bring in 6 or 7 truckloads of material every day, large triaxle, huge trucks of the good clean fill. The fill is tested every time, it's 5,000 yards or something, it's a lot, we test it all the time. To test to make sure we're bringing in clean material, and if, in fact, they are bringing in. We've not had one result come back that's been a questionable result. So that's great news, but it is nonstop trucking. Yeah, but everybody seems to adhering to the school hours real well. We had some conflicts up front. We've not seemed to have those anymore. We had an early start on Saturday morning last week because they knew they were having your pancake breakfast, and I have to tell you, none of us expected the crowd that you were gonna have. That's great. I've thrown those for years and I never get those kind of crowds, so that's fantastic. But they knew that was coming, so they got there, I think they got in at 5 up on the site that morning, because they didn't know what to expect for the traffic. But they didn't start up the equipment that early. They didn't start it up until 7, because that's what the hours are, but they were up there, we're working around, which was good.
Did they have pancakes?
I think they went over at 11:30 when they're starting to knock off.
got all the
A handful of
leftovers?
them went over,
Wow.
which was nice. They
That's
cleaned
good.
off and went on up. The concrete work is just well underway. They're getting ready. They're prepping the slabs on grade, the ground level first floor slabs now. They had hoped to pour those this week, ran into a little problem with getting some compaction results, so they've been pushed off. It's not a problem, it's just they didn't have the right material in the right place at the right time, so they're spending testing firm that we're overseeing found some voids and said, no, stop, you gotta get right. So it's great, and it's doing what they're doing. It's not impacting their schedule. The upper floor slabs are being poured in the B wing. They're all poured in the C wing, the 3-story wing. They're being poured in the B wing, I believe as early as I think I may have even heard on Friday. They're moving it along real quick. The weather's so good that they're trying to make real progress with it. So, and then, like I said, then we'll move right through the kindergarten classroom wing, right through the auditorium, for lack of a better term, the cafetorium, and right into the gym and the kitchen. So it's progressing just like they said it would, straight in and out. The HVAC, the heating, ventilating, air conditioning, mechanical, plumbing, they're all on site. They're hanging ductwork in areas that are enclosed already. It's all being inspected and all being sealed, and it's all meeting the requirements, the environmental requirements as well. The walls are built on the second and third floor and parts of the first floor on the 3-story building. You can actually see the front page. The front page there shows the walls are framed in some areas. It's framed all the way around the building. If you were to go look, it's all the way around, which is great news. And on the interior of the 3rd floor, they've already framed the interior walls, so you can really start to see where the hallway is and the classrooms are laying out.
And the roof is all on and everything?
Roof
I
is
mean,
tight.
roofing.
The roof drains are done and connected in that area too. They're being brought out and the water's being stored on site. It's a temporary drainage area. The exterior wall panels for we call it the AVB. It's actually not an AVB on this job. It's an integrated insulated panel. That's starting this week, which is great news. And that's about it. Next month is just more of the same. They really expect to have all of the concrete poured, which is huge. The masons should start by that point too. I mean, all the brick has been approved, all the blocks been approved, the windows
So they're
have been
gonna start in
approved.
May? The
The
brick?
masons, they actually may start next month. They may
Well, that's
actually-
May.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
next
yeah.
week.
It's,
No, it's gonna be like, not next week, the week after, it'd be like 2 weeks. So it could start in
Late
April.
April.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, their schedule, every schedule they give us, they're beating it by about 3 weeks.
So are we still about 90 days out?
Yeah, probably a little less than that, but that's still pretty good.
We're not rushing anything?
Nope, it's being inspected. As a matter of fact, I mean, they're pushing because they want to get the slabs poured, and we stopped them and said, slow down, and you know, we gotta make sure we get the right test results and the whole bit. So everybody's doing what they need to do and make sure they don't go that extra step too far. You know, they're not rushing, I think they have the labor force pegged just right with coming out of the winter, so it's great. So that's the real big push. I mean, they just keep on going. Like I said, they keep submitting their schedule, and then they keep meeting the dates.
That's good.
It's good for them.
Yeah, getting back to the stormwater drainage, I was wondering, seems to be a conflict on how we're gonna try to resolve tying into Elm Street. Right now, we have plans to put piping and catch basins down the main drive and leave it to probably a future tie-in. And I know Peter's been trying to push a plan to put in rain gardens along the side of the road. So, I mean, that's a kind of a change in engineering. So I was wondering, what's been the discussion at the selectmen's meeting about coming up with an engineering plan to,
Well, we were just, Rob and Pete and I were just meeting before this meeting to talk about some of that and trying to figure that out a little bit. Because the Elm Street design, the contract's got, some concerns Rob brought up, and we were kind of vetting them with Pete. So, based on where we were half an hour ago, we've got pipe and manholes, right, and rain gardens, and then Pete, you're probably better equipped to talk about it than I am.
The engineer came out one time and met with DRA in the trailer with, Chuck was there too. And we looked at the plan that they have for their manholes and catch basins going down the hill. The engineer thinks that or the architect thinks that we can, before we get to the bottom of the hill, there's an area that we can go to the left to put a rain garden to grab a couple of the structures.
coming down the hill to the left?
Yes. Like near the top.
We have a drawing?
Yeah, right, well, that drawing there will have it.
It's a little beyond this drawing piece, right?
Yeah,
You know,
the
right
drawings.
here. So there's two structures up here, we'll have the two structures go off into a rain garden in this area. And then there's, I think, 4 more structures that will go into a rain garden at the bottom of the hill,
Okay.
which is past this point.
So who's gonna engineer that?
The,
This is
there
our,
may be a change order that we may not need as many pipes and as many structures, cause we don't have to do a trunk line going down here, cause these 2 basins are gonna go off this way. So it might be a change order that we have to, the architect and the engineer have to get together and, redesign this, make sure this works, and then coming down the hill, we're gonna have the rain garden at the right side of the drive on the bottom. So that's something that, we don't have a, contract with an, engineer right now, so we're working on trying to get a signed contract, and then we'll go forward with meeting with DRA and talk about how this is gonna work going down the hill.
Yeah, we need to push, and
Yeah.
Peter and I have talked about it a lot. We need to push that as fast as we can, because that contractor actually, as you well know, has rights to the full property this summer. And that site contractor's gonna wanna get that road.
So we
work
don't
in.
want him to
Has-
put the,
has full, to what site?
the whole
Full
site.
Pembroke.
Pembroke
As
site.
soon as
They're-
school's out.
They're not gonna use it
Couple
for
days
camps
after
this summer,
school's
they're
out.
not gonna use it for any summer programs, we were told through Mike
they're not?
Anderson.
Really?
So that we could have the entire road, so we could get the utilities in, so this is the
Gotcha.
summer, they're gonna put all that in. So we really, if there's gonna be this kind of a proposed change to do this, we need to find out what we can do from our end. I mean, from our end, the project is, they're gonna move forward this way until we tell them otherwise. If it's the best way to do what Peter's suggesting, working with the other engineer, and we'll do, we wanna make sure we do it. We have to give it enough time so the contractor doesn't mobilize and get in there and then put in something you're not gonna use.
Pete, would that engineer be the one that we're working on the contract with now?
Yes.
The Elm Street engineer?
Yep.
Okay. So, were we gonna vote on that on Monday, Mike? The contract?
I was gonna,
It'll be on the agenda. Yeah. Okay.
I want to talk to you afterwards, because when we talked, 6 months, a year ago, whatever, about it, tying in to the rail trail on the other end, so I want to talk to you, make sure that it's still doing that.
Yep.
Because we have our engineer for that also, for the rail trail, and it's just that connection in between that we want to make sure we're all on the same page with.
okay.
You guys gotta work on that.
So,
All right, so,
Fine.
We got 3
can you,
projects
I
happening in
know,
here.
so if you guys approve this contractor that you're talking about, are we okay time-wise?
If you do it quick, yeah.
I mean,
If
to get them on
if you
board
get the
and
contract
do all
approved,
your
and
whatever.
we have the ability to sit with them right away, to work with the engineer from Niche to
Yeah.
come up with if this makes sense.
Yeah.
And Niche has to sign off on this as
Yeah.
well, because it's within
Mm-hmm.
their responsibility for the drainage along
Right.
along the road.
right, but then we're
Or
gonna have
the
a change
driveway.
order, right? We're gonna have a change
You
order,
will have
probably.
change, is what
So
it
you-
sounds like. I think this is all great concept at this point. We really don't know the
Right, but it's,
details
we
right now.
don't know the details, but it doesn't sound like we have a lot of time.
You can do it quick. Yeah.
Right.
So,
So, so if we need to schedule another meeting to approve a change order, oh, actually.
It's gonna
that's-
be a
Is that our
while.
three
That's
people?
gonna
It's
be
gonna take a
while.
while to
It's gonna be
design
a
it
while. You're
and get
a
a
good
price.
month before we
They
get
need to
anywhere.
design it and figure it all out.
You're easily a month.
so I see where the first rain garden can go. And you said one's down at the bottom of the hill?
Yep.
And has he,
Here where
has,
the
has
new
he looked-
sign's gonna go?
has he looked at a survey of the property to see where that second rain garden can go, and he
Yep.
thinks there's land there?
The town owns more on the school side of Elm Street.
The school site. It does?
Yeah.
Because we have the survey, I'm looking at the survey right here and it doesn't show it.
It's pretty limited there, Pete.
This right here, this dark line, that is the survey
Yeah,
line.
we're saying down here.
That computer must have had Georgetown stuff.
Down
In the
here.
right of way?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, okay, well, that's different.
mhm.
That's outside us. I say us, meaning the project, the Pembroke project. Okay.
So would
Well,
this
that's-
be considered the fourth change that we've had to,
It would be, yeah.
and how much, do you have an idea of
This
what this
first
is
I've heard of
going
it.
to cost?
Oh, no, this is first we've heard of it.
This is the first year?
Bringing it up.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
we
we're,
talked about it before.
I know, but I mean, this is the first that we
No,
thought
no, no,
this could go.
it's
the
forward.
specifics of it.
Me
The
personally,
specifics.
I don't,
Specifics,
right, right.
We've all heard of this, it's just the specifics of
yeah.
exact
Oh, no, we haven't even
numbers.
had a chance, there's no drawings yet on it.
you know, if they saw drawings and it was changed, I don't see it much of a change order,
It
but
may
they've
not
already
be.
planned.
Yeah.
You know, cause we're gonna save the money, they're gonna save a structure and they're gonna save on pipe.
But it's a change and
And
you
they don't
still
have
have to
to dig
pay
as
for the
much.
design.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, instead of going this way with the pipe, you go at 10 o'clock instead of 12 o'clock. That's
It could
all,
be.
so.
Yeah.
I
Wouldn't
don't
that-
see it a big deal,
Wouldn't that
but
change the calculations and everything else?
That's the next question,
Yeah.
quick question, and
We'll
George
find
and I
out.
had that discussion.
Also wetland down here.
Well, that's the other thing, is you're into the wetlands too. We have-
So who does is it your engineer for Elm Street that's gonna do all of these modifications, or is it Niche?
It could be both.
That's another question.
I don't know why
We
that,
gotta
you know, when,
connect
you know,
somehow.
cause I've been saying this from the very beginning, about the roadway, and they didn't put the structures in until near the very end. And then they don't have a place for the water to go. They put the structures in, but no so it's up to the town to find out where that water's gonna go.
He's talking
And-
about,
And they weren't gonna do anything
Right
on
next
that
to-
roadway,
you know, next to the road.
right up to the very end.
Yeah, cause I mean, I don't remember it all, so
Parallel to the
correct me
road,
if
I
I'm
think.
wrong.
outside of
But I
the road.
thought what it was gonna be was that,
I don't know.
that was decided that it would bring
There's a driveway.
would bring the water down to the road, and then the Elm Street project, I mean, you're saying the same thing, but the Elm Street project would take care of it at
Yeah.
that point. So, by putting it into the
I mean, if
storm
these
sewer
rain
down
gardens
there.
don't work, we have to find another way to get rid of the water.
Right. Okay.
So, it's not like it's etched in stone that we're using rain gardens.
I mean, the reason I mean, Tilly brings up a good point, I mean, the reason I asked the question is, if Niche has to redesign some things, then he's gonna charge us for it,
Yes.
so, or charge,
No doubt.
I don't know if it's charging Elm Street for it, or charging the school for it, or how, it all comes from the same
He'll charge us.
family
Couldn't charge
anyways,
us. He
but,
couldn't charge, he wouldn't have the ability to charge the
Yeah,
Elm
he has
Street
to
project.
charge us.
He has to charge the.
Okay.
He has to charge the project.
You can't mix the funds and approvals and all that.
okay.
So how quickly do you guys need this coordinated? Next week or so?
Wouldn't go much past that. To give us time to sit and talk and make sure we got everybody organized.
Yeah.
And then it has to go through the Concom.
Well, that was the question George and I had talked to Al Flan a day or two ago, I mean, a week or two ago, when we first heard about this, that, you know, would it have to go back to the Concom? It sounds like you might, I don't know though. Because you're changing the approved stormwater management plan.
Well, I don't see how they can approve just having manholes and catch basins going down the hill and blocked off until the Elm Street project's done.
That's a great, what did they approve? That's a great question.
They approved this plan.
That's what was on the plan,
I think there was an assumption
right.
With
That
them,
did-
they approved,
that there'd be piping coming down
Yeah, that's what I
to
thought.
cross connections, or
And then where's that water gonna go?
that would go to a wetland. It's in an MS4 district. Elm Street is in the MS4
Some
district,
future
so
order of conditions.
so they,
we're discharged to a wetland.
is that in the order of conditions, do you know?
Yeah, I was just gonna look for that right
That,
around
that
this.
there was a piping, it was a closed system?
They were gonna just condition it when the Elm Street project came in.
So with our, so we could do it with our notice of intent then?
What's that?
We could do it with our notice of intent then?
No, I mean, a change in the site plan would have to go through, ask for, if
For
it's,
the, one up here, we'd have to do it as part of our project.
Correct.
The one down by the road could be part of the Elm Street project.
Yeah. You're going
mean,
for a
they
notice of intent on that, right? For the Elm Street Road?
Excuse me?
You're going for a notice of intent on the Elm Street project?
Yep.
What's your timing on that?
But you have the other.
Well, what's
I
the,
don't know, we it didn't have a section number,
what's the worst
The very
comes to
beginning,
worst
I
here? I
think.
mean, if,
not of the site work, I mean, the general.
if you
requirement.
can't get it all together, then you end up building it,
Uh,
and then you have to come back and
Might be.
modify it per your notice of intent
Yep.
as a separate project, right? And then if that happens, I think the only coordination you may need to do is to put in, you know, the ability, if it's a catch basin or whatever that you come through, that you have the ability to then spur off for these gardens, rain gardens for these guys. That might be the only change. The point is, I'm not trying to solve it here, but the point is that I think you guys, when you go forward, you need two plans. You need to do it with a plan of actually redesigning it, and hoping that, I mean, and that'll be the best case, and then the fallback plan is preparing for the eventual change later on down the line, if you can't get through the Concom and everything else within that period of time. So you need a fallback.
Well, what
Yeah.
it sounds like to me, I mean, and Peter and I have talked a lot about this. What you're doing is you're changing the way the stormwater design for the project is that you're quote-unquote retaining it on site. You're not gonna rely on the Elm Street project to pick up the water coming off the site. You're gonna leave it upside.
Right.
That's what you're changing.
And then
That's a pretty significant change.
It not only does it have to pass Concom, DEP has to approve the
Right.
change too. And if the calculations don't add up, DEP won't approve
Right.
it.
So what I'm saying is I think you just need two plans, because that one, this one you might not be able to get through in time.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was my fear, because if you can't get it through in time,
You gotta
we
proceed
don't
with
have
what was
another,
approved.
we don't have another break in the schedule
No.
to have it turned over.
So you gotta proceed with what was approved, and then you have to come back and modify it. But I think that you can put provisions in there to make that future modification easier.
I mean, the worst thing we can do is put in all this piping and catch basins,
Take it
cap it off,
I
leave
know.
it down the end of the street. Elm Street project comes
I know.
in, and we've
I agree.
paid all this money to put in these
I
catch basins.
totally agree with you, 100% with you on that one. 100% in.
You know, so something's gotta work, is just my concern. Either it's
The
gonna be the rain
concept-
gardens, it's gonna be, we gotta look for a tie-in.
Right.
And tie-ins can involve getting easements, you know, from property owners and things like that. So, I mean, there could be some legal issues going around, you know.
But yeah, if you have to go off onto somebody else's land, hopefully,
Even if it's
you're
in
saying
the-
you don't have to, but have to see.
You
Right.
have the
And that
front
should
end
be
stuff?
part of the Elm Street project, not this
Right.
project.
Right.
Where's the
We were
water
hoping
on
just
Elm
to
Street
put it
going
off on the
now?
Elm Street project and say, okay,
Goes down the driveway to the right, and it goes down Elm Street toward East Main Street. And there's a wetland down that way.
Right.
It's in the addenda.
Through, the drains and everything?
Nope,
No?
it just goes down the
Natural
road,
flow?
and then there's a wetland there, and
Didn't we get the order conditions?
goes
after
right
we
in
put it
there.
on the street?
so I mean, you know, the top two, if we could collect the top two into that rain garden, and then maybe tie the bottom ones into a pipe system.
Where would the piping go?
Into the
There's a
wetlands.
crossover pipe further down the road.
You
No,
can
they could
tell,
put a
just go to the
manhole
beginning of each addendum, it says
that
what's
if
contained
you go down
in
to the
there.
right,
So many
it's just,
steps,
there's a
so many
wetland that comes
pages,
right up
and
against the
order
road,
conditions.
right?
To the right of, like,
Right,
if you
no,
go
like
toward
in the
East
first
Main Street.
paragraph, The
Yeah.
attachments.
No,
So
there's,
a couple of houses down. there's a-
yes, and
there's a-
then that's where the wetland is.
Yeah,
And that's where it's drained in there?
Yeah, and we would make, when
Make
we
a
did
catch
the road
basin
over,
there.
we'd make it drain better that way,
yeah.
Okay.
so.
Yeah, and I
where the
think
water
that's what
wants
the
to go.
concept of what the original design was the concept is that it would come down to Elm Street, and you would pick it up in Elm Street and treat it that way, handle it that way.
Yeah.
This is a change by keeping more water on site.
Yeah.
But I agree with George, it could be a little tricky.
What would be the, sort of a drop dead date where you would need to see, you'd need to know there's a solution in place that's been approved for picking up the water?
I don't know if there is one, is there?
May,
If they're gonna do the
June.
drainage this summer,
beginning of June. The
No.
guy's gonna
No,
the
because
guy's
you're
gonna
gonna-
move on
what-
there in July.
What's that?
The guy's gonna get in that road and do
He's
the
gonna-
storm drainage in July.
He's gonna tell us tomorrow probably, he's already bought the catch basins.
Right.
Whether he
Stuff
has
there.
or not, he'll tell
I'll
us
tell you,
that.
you did, yeah.
So in terms of trying to get credits for structures,
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
not gonna
don't
get
count on it. And remember,
lot
the
of
original
pipeline.
design is capping the structures, so in that sense,
They're not functioning.
they're not functioning, there's no drop dead date in that regard, but in terms of, trying to salvage some credit and redesign
Right.
where they're going to,
Right.
it's probably pretty limited at this point in time.
If at
I
all.
guess the reason I was asking that question, or what I was just trying to get at, is that, it's a significant amount of water that's gonna be coming down that portion of the road, and, I have reservations about rain gardens as the form to, address that stormwater management. They don't typically deal with that volume. And.
Do you have calculations for
so-
how much water comes down the hill?
So.
I'm sure they do.
So
yeah.
so if it gets into a closed pipe system, which I think is what it's gonna probably end up being, how long that will take, where that water goes, how you treat that water, cause you can't just go from pipe to pipe into a wetland with it. And so I'm just,
You
I'm
have
just
deep
trying.
sumps and.
Yeah,
the
deep sumps.
No, I understand, but there's a whole permitting and there's a lot to it, and so, that's why I'm just trying to find out a kind of a drop dead date for
And,
schedules of when that needs to be resolved by.
I was watching a planning board meeting, and developer was complaining about putting in rain gardens because of the maintenance involved.
Right.
The maintenance is intense, people,
Mhm.
it's an oxymoron that the industry, quite frankly, hasn't figured out.
I agree with you.
That's another whole discussion.
So Chuck, what was originally Concom's orders
I'm
of
looking
condition?
for the order conditions, I can't find it here.
Oh.
For
Because
some
we had to
reason I
have
can't.
some kind of water, management plan when they approved it, so.
Right, but it
We did.
it had, basically what's happening now, the water coming down the driveway,
It's going off to the right and.
So,
right.
yeah, so how much more area or hence water is gonna be put into this pipe coming down than is existing now coming down
Actually
at Elm
less.
Street? It's less.
A little bit less, because we're narrowing the road slightly.
So the situation is that the current situation is worse than what's gonna be there after,
Even if we
we-
do nothing further in terms of tying
right,
in.
and then Elm
rain
Street will
gardens.
pick it up on the bottom. So it's not like, I just wanna make sure that everybody knows, it's not like we're all of a sudden
Not
increasing a
creating
whole
a
bunch of
problem
water
without
and
a
creating a
solution.
tremendous
Yeah.
problem here.
Right.
We're actually reducing a problem that already exists,
Mhm.
and Elm Street will pick up that last bit down there at the bottom and take it off.
Well, the other
In that
problem
project.
is that,
There you go.
Found it.
But not if it's not done.
No, I know that, it has to be done.
no, I mean, EPA is requiring that, especially if you're gonna do over a road,
New
is that you
projects.
treat the water. It's,
Right.
it's the water quality issue
Right.
too.
Mhm.
So that,
Right.
if we did nothing, we could meet probably stormwater standards, but, water quality standards might be another issue. I'm not sure how,
I think,
what the EPA says about you have to put in catch basins to treat the water. It's just, I think, something that's an engineering practice now. If you're gonna do over a road, you want the
Right.
better water quality coming
Right.
into your wetlands.
I agree with Jeff, the volume is gonna be less, but you're correct.
Does it say, any change identified shall be required the applicant?
No, I think you have to go to the last ones. These are all standard ones. The
Yeah,
last
that's what I'm
ones were the custom ones.
See, DEP will look at the change too, and they'll ask, what's the TSS percentage of contaminants you're taking out, with a rain garden or with a catch basin,
So Carl, let me ask you a question,
Mhm.
so that everybody understands it. The water's coming down in a new pipe that we're putting in, right?
There are no pipes now, right.
Correct.
Right, so it's coming
yeah.
down, less water is coming down, but in a pipe. And what is the bottom condition down there? Does it go into a catch basin?
Well, no, as
And
the
then just
plans
sit
stand
there?
right now, no water would be getting into the new pipe because the structures are capped.
Oh.
So the water would be flowing down the driveway the way it does today, in essence.
Okay.
but the driveway is gonna be narrowed a little bit, so you could
Okay.
say there's slightly less.
It's a little
You might
fountain.
Quantity.
have more velocity
Yeah,
coming
right.
down.
But you're just gonna get it
Road's
quicker,
narrow,
cause it's
right?
through a pipe.
The way it's
No,
designed
no,
when
no,
it's,
no. What he's saying
Yeah,
is,
it's,
No, but they're capped.
what he's saying is they're capped, so there's no water going through the pipe.
Correct.
There's less water going down the road than before, so it's the same situation as what's going on now, and that's important because then, just leaving it as that, it works. When Peter, better than what it does
These
now,
were the
and then when
specific
Peter
ones.
does Elm Street and
Anything
gets
about
his pipes to, eventually tie into our pipe coming down,
But he doesn't wanna do
then,
that.
then ours will be uncapped.
It's not, the
Yeah.
He's
engineering
talking
plans
about
don't
rain
call for
gardens,
that.
not pipe.
That's it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the rest of this is just.
I know there's two scenarios here, and
Okay.
I'm kind of with you, and I'm kind of wondering if these rain gardens are actually gonna be a workable thing. So worst case is that it isn't, and then it goes down to a new system down in Elm Street when you do that, and then the pipes go off, and then the water goes into the correct sumps and everything, and gets cleaned and put back into the wetlands.
But the way the contract, I think, is being written is without engineering, cross connects or piping, right?
they're gonna replace what's there, and they're gonna, add things up by the Johnson property.
But not by the school.
They were looking at, possibly using rain gardens. We went up and we met with DRA and Mitch, so.
So there's no engineering plans to do what you're talking about.
that's part of, what
I
we
mean,
were
if
just
this-
talking about in
That
the
was an
meeting.
additional
This is,
service.
this is part of what we were just talking about in the meeting, which was to identify those components and get the civil to put a budget number on those.
Oh,
To cover those.
Because they're additional right now.
Right.
Because right now they're all not included.
Through the Elm
They're
Street
addition-
Plan.
just additional service up the wazoo.
So, can I make a suggestion? You two guys, George, Mike, can you guys powwow tomorrow, or,
I'll do it after this meeting.
I mean, we're gonna get together after just to go through it, cause we had a few more stuff on the punch list there on that, that were Rob's concerns, that are things that are omitted or additionals and stuff like that, because if we're gonna meet next week for the Board of Selectmen meeting, we gotta have that document ready to go and try to figure out some of these things and put them in there or add some additional scope to it so that we can approve it and get it going. Because time's short, but do you have time to look at it afterwards?
Yeah, I would have time. I don't know if you're gonna get it through legal and then back to the contractual part. No,
No.
you won't get it done by Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Peter's plan, for the rain guards. I mean, it's more concept, so we're gonna put something here, but,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to I'm not an engineer to comment on, what's best for the project. That's something like Chuck was saying, Nish and, was it, whoever.
Bayside?
Bayside would have to agree on as a viable alternative, I think, not the four of us getting together and.
You're right, George.
That's right.
Well, I'm just concerned that we were planning on trying to approve that contract on Monday. Based on what I'm seeing this evening with these two gentlemen, we're not ready to sign off on that. I'm not ready to sign off on that contract, given what we were discussing tonight for Monday.
Yeah, it'll have to go back to legal and have to go back to Bayside.
weeks.
Have to come
How
back
long
to
would that,
us.
how long of a process you figure? Week and a half, 2 weeks?
You need
Yeah,
2 weeks.
Yeah.
well,
You need
we're
2
not-
weeks at least?
Civil's gotta respond
Yeah.
with his proposal.
The
What
selectmen
if-
meet every other week?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly could do another meeting, but I'm just trying to
What if
figure out
you-
the timeline here with DRA and
What if-
Chuck.
As
and-
Rob
and
said,
What
why
if
couldn't
we-
it be a
what if-
change order?
What if we hammered out what if we hammered out the elements and it was presented that way to you folks, so you weren't approving the actual final contract, but you were approving the layout of the proposal, layout of the contract, and then contingent upon,
The changes,
yeah, yeah.
legal on the changes?
Yeah.
Would that
Well,
work
well,
for
then
you?
then you're also doing a dollar figure that you haven't seen. So
Yeah, we gotta look.
you gotta
Yeah, but
see
legal's
what
not gonna
it's
change the dollar figure.
Yeah, they're
No,
just gonna,
but we won't
they're
have
gonna.
No,
vote
you
for
won't
it.
have it. The engineer's gonna change the dollar figure.
Right.
Then that's gonna change the 1.8 million that
But
we
if you
have the
guys,
bond to
but
do the
if,
project.
but if you guys get together and hash it all out and then talk to your engineer, he can turn that around in a day, getting a price, a fee. It's not that hard.
No, and you could get.
And the town approved 1.8 million to do
So
that
then-
project out there.
So then you'll be able to come
Right.
in with a number at
Didn't we
least.
sign off
You would
on
think
those?
so.
You would hope so.
Or we already sent them out?
Just don't.
The
Engineers
bond
are
for
usually
that?
very
No,
And the last
I-
stuff we signed, no? That wasn't in the last
No,
package?
no.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think go for it. I think keep on going ahead.
Conversation with
You know,
Steve.
powwow, get it all set, get the new number, go to the board and present it. And then get all the approvals and then let legal hash out all the legal stuff, because they're not gonna change the meat of it. And, they're doing the terms and conditions, so, and then we'll see where we are. You know, that's the best we can do.
And we can try to get it done by the 28th.
Yeah. All right, well, I mean, we can continue this after, just to go through those details, but,
I'm going on vacation the,
no, you're not.
Probably like the 20th. I was gonna say
18th.
yeah. So
I
can
won't-
you,
and
can
I
you
won't
guys,
be
you guys
back
just need to try to work out the
till the
details
28th,
then,
so-
so you guys are all on the same page.
Vacationing at a rain garden anywhere?
Florida.
So Peter, if you're
Disney,
going
baby.
away, so for school vacation, just, if you can just get all your ideas, whether to the selectmen, whatever, so they can start working with the engineer and everything like that, because it sounds like we're in a little bit of a bind here.
Well, and, I mean, timing, we may,
How are we so
or may
far
not be
behind
able
on
to get
timing?
a bunch in, but some of it is.
Well, that will absorb.
How are we so
We
far
look at
behind
this
on
point,
timing?
school's
No,
done.
how are we
It
so
sounds
far
like it's
behind
gonna
on
absorb the
Elm
3
Street?
weeks that they were ahead.
for the contract to be
No,
signed.
it's Elm Street's
No,
behind.
I
you.
know.
Rob, Rob's got some issues with,
Okay.
with the
I
contract,
know,
so.
but we approved this with the school.
The additional.
Yeah,
stuff.
and when did I start?
It's been on the last 3 or 4 selectmen agenda, it just gets pulled at the last minute.
Okay, all right,
Sorry,
well,
I missed something.
you guys have your marching orders, you guys know what you're doing, you know, get it done before
Give
Peter
them a
goes on
deadline,
vacation.
Michelle, come
Before
on.
Peter goes on vacation, April 20th.
Does the school department belong to Safer Routes to School? So we could ask them if they wanna pay for this?
But that's I checked into that kind of money, and it takes a long time.
It
Oh,
takes
yeah?
a real long
I was
time.
gonna do that for the rail trail, and, it's not the way to go, because it takes much longer
It's
than,
like 9 months or 12 months or something.
well, it's over that, it's a year at least,
Long time.
yeah.
I heard more than months, I heard years.
Yeah.
It could be. So
I,
this,
I was
that's not a
told
funding
1 to
source
2
for this.
years minimum,
Okay, all right, well, you guys know what you need to do,
so.
All right.
we're moving on. Okay.
Thank you, George.
Thought it was a quick meeting, huh?
I know.
I know, really.
Well, it was,
No, but
a
you know
big
what,
piece
but
that we had to
that was,
Well, the
that
next
was
two
a
are actually
big-
easy, so.
I know.
we had to figure that out.
We
so
just
we're
gotta
on our
talk
way.
about the budget and real quick,
I
and
know, I
then the
think
rest of
we're-
it, you're gonna pass right over it, I mean. to
I
be
know.
honest with you.
Until the next meeting. All right, so an update on the budget.
Yeah, I won't go through the details of the monthly report, we passed it out to you, I won't go through page by page. But if you wanna flip to page 6 real quick, that's the one that I review, we'll start to review with you every time you meet. And this is potential change orders to the project. And
Another one,
change orders. So, right now, I mean, obviously you sit real strong. We didn't talk about the project funding agreement with the MSBA, that is done. And it is being passed around the town and finished up. I think Mike's getting the last of the sign-offs Friday or this week, it's done. We've already entered the budget into ProPay, which is the MSBA reimbursement, the change in budget. I'm working very closely with Mary down in the treasurer's office or the town accountant's office, and then I think we're in really good shape on that. It's a matter of just getting some paperwork processed back and forth, but you're getting your reimbursement money as we go each month. But what this is this, we'll always show you, and some of it's gonna be worst case scenario, and I always show you what the top dollar is, and I'll always show you the worst case so you know what you're facing. This is not bad, this is not bad news, this is good news. The top two are the change orders that were approved for obviously the remediation and the fire protection changes. Those are all done and complete, everything's fine, they're billing against those already, so that's good news. The next two items down, 1.1, I'm talking about the PCO number column on the left column. Items 1.1 and 4, these have already been approved and reviewed. We're holding those for a change order, an actual physical change order to the contractor, because they're not time constraint issues, so we're trying to put a few of them together and get them processed. That's 1.1 and 4. Number 6 is the concept of providing chain link fencing around the north fields during the construction. This is probably gonna get rolled into the pricing of the north fields now. So we'll probably void this right off the list, and we'll just include it in the pricing of the north field, which is number 9 below. And again, you'll see where I have under estimated costs, the TBD. It's because I just won't even take an educated guess. I just won't even do it at this point.
What is this electrical box reinforcing?
There's a floor box in one of the slabs that is larger than the specifications that came in were, it was a little bit larger than required, than we thought it was going to be. So because of that, we have to modify the structural steel or the reinforcing steel around these boxes. So there's a group of them together that affects an opening. If you get that many together, start to weaken the slab if you just start to cut these all up. These things happen all the time. They're coordination type issues. We're waiting for
These
some
happen all the
pricing.
time, we can't pick this up while
That's
it's
why
on
we
the
have
plan?
to take agency. You can't get them all. We try, everybody tries it.
Nothing's
There are
perfect.
times you're not gonna get them all.
Nothing's perfect.
Do we have electricity going to the building? Is there gonna be electricity going to the building?
Oh, yeah.
And that's all paid for and,
Well, that's a separate object completely because we're working with the power company right now.
so that wasn't planned on when
What's
you
that?
guys did the building?
With the power?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
So why are you dealing with the town's light department then?
Because there's things that they have to supply. They supply the transformers. The
They,
project
they
pays
own
for
the
it.
transformer.
The project pays for these things. The power company doesn't have to pay for
So
this.
it's not like we have to come up with any more money to.
It's in the budget.
Okay,
It's in your budget.
that's what I was asking.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
Chuck, did Dave Schofield come to the construction meeting last week?
He did not.
No.
No.
Okay.
But I know they've spoken with him.
All right.
And that's just an issue of, once we know how much it costs, and we work with Dave and find out what it's cost to buy the transformers and get them all, they submit an invoice against the project, and you pay for it from the project. It's included in your budget, no surprises there.
What's Dave Schofield?
Like
He's the
commissioner.
manager of the light department.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
why am I
yeah,
blanking on that name? Okay. Yeah, see coordination there.
And now there's also number 8 here, a fire protection request for additional valve cabinet. This is in one area near the cafeteria. It's a question raised by the fire protection contractor that he thinks in his reading of the code that perhaps there should be another valve cabinet in that area. We're checking with the engineers now to verify if they believe it needs to be there, and we'll also check with the chief to see if he thinks it needs to be there. It's here because it came up as a potential cost. It's not been resolved yet.
Okay.
So,
Are you talking about for tie-ins for fire protection?
No, so
sprinklers inside the building,
Valves
Oh, okay.
valves.
to section off,
Oh, just the,
zone off the
yeah,
building.
zone it, okay.
And then we have that number 9, some Northfield grading revisions, and then.
You
which
couldn't
will
put a
be-
number to that one?
No idea?
Not even gonna get close. And the next one, which will probably be number 10 as we meet tomorrow, is the Johnson property sidewalk and the driveway modifications. We have the sketches done. They need to go to the contractor for pricing. He'll turn it around probably a week or so.
All right, so hopefully at our next meeting, next month in May, we'll be able to
Absolutely.
vote on that one.
That is our hope. Same with, again, as soon as the Northfield comes in, there'll be a lot of discussing, a lot of horse trading, a lot of all that.
Okay, so,
So this shows that, again, this is just to show you how we track the cost of potential changes.
right, so actually, talking about the, well, actually, all right, so does anyone have any other questions about the budget and change orders that are potentially in there right now?
I do. What's the 98.42 remaining? I don't, that-
That's our
98.42%,
That, we've only used 2% of our contingency.
less
no, it's
than.
almost 4 million and we already spent 2 million, so that would be 50%
No, no,
remaining,
this is
wouldn't
the
it?
original.
Am I
That's the
missing
orig-
something?
There's the original.
The
first two didn't come out of contingency.
Oh, they didn't
This-
come out of contingency?
came
No,
out
we
of
worked
We
that
were
out
about
bid
the
savings.
PFA, and
Gotcha.
we used our
Okay.
underbid amount on that.
Oh,
So
that's
this-
right, that was the gap we had.
Well-
That's your
There.
amount.
Okay,
You used your underbid bid amount, it actually is coming out as a change as far as the MSBA
Right,
is
right.
concerned, but you are.
It's a
Okay.
change,
Because
but we
they
didn't have to
took
take
it
it
out
from
because they're not gonna
contingency.
reimburse
Okay.
Percy for those two items anyway.
gotcha,
So
yeah.
we have
That's why
98%
I'm
of
like,
our
what?
contingency.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's, it
Well,
is.
yeah. Well, I
That,
think
that
what-
was the huge thing that the MSBA let us do,
Yeah.
is that we
was-
just maintained, keeping our contingency with the whole remediation.
Yep.
That was our,
Okay.
Well, I think what we were just talking about previous could be a potential change order.
Of course.
Yeah.
Anytime you make
I
any
really-
changes to these drawings or
so
stuff
by
you
next month,
contracted
you
to
guys,
everything,
you
we
guys
can
might
change.
have an idea if there's a change order. and
If
we're-
there's a change
by the
order, I'm
time
not sure we'll have
May
enough time to
rolls
price
around,
it by then.
And our thing.
Well, like you said, plan A and plan B at that point then, and
Yep, they're gonna work on it. All right, so we have not received any pricing from Brate on anything on the Pembroke Fields. So, what I was thinking, you guys can pipe in if you want, just because timing is obviously critical. The longer we wait, the longer everybody is without fields and grass and everything like that. So, my goal would be Monday night to try to hold, I don't know how it's gonna work with you guys, a joint meeting or a tri-board meeting with us, the Board of Selectmen and the school committee. And my reason being that, number one, they're gonna give us a price for what the remediation to the fields is, but then there's gonna be like all this extra a la carte pricing for, if we seed or if we saw it and, all these different things. If you want irrigation, if you don't want irrigation, and choices are gonna need to be made on what we're going to put into this project. And even though I'm guessing that most of the funding for this is going to come from the Pembroke project, it's gonna impact everybody else in town. And I think it makes sense to hear from the school committee especially,
Should, I
and then
mean,
the board of selectmen, it's a town thing, it's gonna impact everybody in town, the
Yeah.
fields. So we need to understand from them what the priorities are, and if we're gonna be voting on it, and when we finally have pricing, it just makes sense to sit down with everybody.
and you'll
That's
have it
kinda
by
my-
Monday, the pricing?
Actually, we were hoping to have it today, so we don't have it today, so.
You guys think we'll
we're
have it
hoping
for
by
Monday?
I hope so.
As
Doesn't
Chuck
sound
says,
like
there
it.
may be a lot of give and take,
No.
before we're ready to
I mean,
present it.
Well, I mean, we don't have to post till Thursday, but I'm just, and then with April vacation coming up at the end of the week would be,
So as soon as you
It's-
get
it's
it, will
just-
you email it to everybody so that we would know
what was that?
as soon as you get the prices?
Oh, yes, yeah.
but they might not get it
So
till
that we'll be
Monday,
ready for Monday?
but they might not get it till Monday.
They might not even get it Monday, it
That's
sounds
right, so why would we even have it?
Well,
My only concern is, I think as a committee, we've been through it, and we haven't even seen it to be able to understand it, to be able
I
to
know, but-
explain it to everybody,
well,
and even to have an opinion. That's my only,
True.
that's
And
my
you
only
just talking
problem.
about a timing issue?
I think it's a timing issue,
Trying to
and I mean, Carol, you can pipe in if you
coordinate a
want,
timing
but
issue.
here's the thing, I mean, we can sit here and we can talk about, okay, well, we're gonna save X thousands of dollars, because it's 3 times more money to sod it versus, plant grass, and we can sit here and we can say, okay, we wanna save that money, so we're gonna plant grass, we're gonna do that, but then we're gonna put in sprinklers, we're gonna do all this, and then we're gonna talk to the school committee, and they're gonna be like, we need a field for the fall. If we seed now, we're not gonna have a field for the fall. So, I think we can talk about it, but I think we're gonna be spinning our wheels,
Well-
not having everybody involved.
Well, my
That's my
opinion,
point.
I've heard enough about fields, number one. Please. We've talked more about fields than we have academic school structure or rooms. But anyway, besides that, we're the ones who signed the vouchers. And I want to know exactly what's going on when I put my signature on it. Not
Exactly.
the school committee, not the selectmen.
Yeah, I don't think
Us.
we'll get
Right,
any,
no,
I don't think we'll get any decision on.
We're
that.
the voucher
Well,
people.
Well, no, but the vote will come to us. We can hear recommendations from them.
Mhm.
And if they all say, well, we want a sod, we don't want this, and we vote it down, that's our prerogative. But it's just to hear what their priorities
input.
are.
We know what they are, excuse me. I know what they are. They want the best, they want the most, and the most expensive.
I wouldn't make
No,
that
I don't-
assumption. Silly, I think that's a bunch of crap. I wouldn't make
No,
that
I don't think when it
assumption.
comes
That's
to
absolutely wrong.
know,
That is
I mean-
That, I'm entitled to my opinion,
I
you're
get
you're
it.
entitled
That's
to
your
yours.
opinion, but I want to hear it with
that's
my
what-
own 2 ears, and I want to see
Okay.
it with my own 2 eyes.
So anyway, so I think,
Well, good, I respect what you say, and I expect you to respect my opinion.
Absolutely, I'm not.
And I've been on
disrespecting your
this committee
opinion, but-
since 28, 9,
Yeah.
So I've been, you're kinda new.
I know, the fact of the matter
So-
is, nobody in this town has put a nickel in this town for 30 years, and now here we are, having to do it. So, let's hear them out, that's the point of having the tri-board meeting. Let's hear them out, let's see what's going on. And
I would
let's-
like a tally.
We can make a vote either Monday or next week, or whenever the following meeting is.
I would personally, I would like to see a bottom line for all that we have allocated from the Pembroke project money right now for our fields. That's what I would like to see. The MSBA is only coughing up 8% of site.
Right.
So everything has been on the Pembroke budget. I haven't seen anything from the town budget. Have you?
No,
I don't
it's all,
understand what
it's
you're
all in,
asking.
it's all in this budget, it's
Yeah,
all
we're
in,
not- we're
it's
not
all
taking
in the
any new
building,
money.
school
That's right.
building budget.
It's
But we
all
don't
in
have a
here.
number yet, we don't have a field grading and remediation number yet, that's what
Well,
we're waiting on.
Right, and that, so, just to be clear, so that money would come out of contingency.
Mm-hmm.
That money that we're talking for the fields, whatever this number is,
Yeah.
will come out of our contingency for the Pembroke
Pembroke's
project.
project, right. Well, like was said before by Jeff, we're the ones who do the voting.
That's correct, and that's, I mean, like I said, we will have them there, we need to understand what their priorities are.
So what you're saying is, 'cause maybe I misunderstood, because I thought it was gonna be a vote, from the board and from the school committee. But if what we're doing is gathering information, getting feedback to be able to come back to our meeting to then vote on it, that's not a problem. I just can't, I just would feel uncomfortable going into this meeting if it really was for a vote for this. And, I mean, your committee, Carol, and your committee, Stu, can vote, give us certain rights or whatever it is, but
Recommendations or
we already have the right, I guess. I mean, unless there's a way to get this pricing sooner, so that we can see it and have a meeting on Friday or
It's
something.
from one of Lawson.
For Monday?
One of
No,
Lawson's
coming
getting-
from the contractor,
Come from the contractor.
Brake Brothers.
Haven't been, no.
Yeah, I know, but.
And there's been a number
We don't
of
have
questions.
I mean-
Some
I mean-
questions that
If
have
we
come back
push it
and
off,
forth
then
over the last 24 hours.
back ourselves.
All right,
working
guys,
out
so
the
my
details.
point in doing this is, so if we're uncomfortable voting on something, we can't, but, if we know that even the remediation, like, okay, we're gonna vote on that, I think we can give them, a vote to go ahead on that. But then there's gonna be all these different items. I don't even know what all the items are, cause I wasn't at a lot of the quote-unquote field meetings. GAA had asked for some stuff, I know the school, just everybody, Great's giving us a compilation of just a different à la carte items that a lot of people have asked for.
Right.
Whether it's moving the fence, the backstops, whatever, all that
We
stuff.
weren't at the last meeting and Eric was here and we heard all about it for at least an hour and a half.
Right, so all that stuff is gonna be on the table. So I think
Thank
it's
you.
important to know from others in town besides us. I mean, yes, we're gonna vote, we take the final vote to say what's gonna be included coming out of our pocket. If we vote it down and they decide they wanna do it on their own, that's fine. But with all of these things and all of these items, I think it's important to hear from all the other boards and who represent people who are gonna be impacted more directly from the field. We're impacted from a financial standpoint. These guys are impacted from a physical standpoint. They've got kids they're trying to get on there, on the fields. So that's my intention of doing that.
Do you have that list prepared, but not the number? The
I
list of
don't
the
even have the
items?
list, no, I don't. I'm sure these guys do.
Do you guys
we-
have the
I don't
punch
have
list
it.
without the cost?
Yeah, we have.
Can we get a list from you?
Is that what Eric was talking about, right? Going
Would
through
it
the
yeah, I don't
punch
know.
make
list?
sense
I have
to
not seen
just
that list.
introduce this list to the school
put it
committee
right in the
meeting this
PR?
Thursday?
I think you did, so I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And
the other
we can
thing
send it
is,
out to you guys.
no, this is a good point that,
It's not that many.
it's a good point,
Sod, irrigation, backstops.
it's a good point that Rob just brought up, is, it would almost be good if especially the school committee, not so much the Board of Selectmen, because I think that it's a different situation,
Yeah, they
but
came out two different
for you to be
times.
able to see this
think
list
we-
to begin with, whether there's
we
prices
gave
on it or not,
them a head
so you guys
start,
can
but
talk
then
internally,
PR
in a hypothetical almost of
either
what your
earlier-
prioritization is and how important things are to you, so that you can come prepared to the meeting, just like we have to come prepared also. It's just pushing it so.
And I mean,
so
I
tight,
also think
schedule.
GAA had some input into the list as well. Ellie went and did a meeting with GAA.
Yeah, I was there.
did- Okay.
Yeah, no, I was
So-
there. We have their input.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure some things that were brought up
I'm
at
trying to
these
find
meetings.
the PR, but I think
I think we
the
can
list
represent
isn't that long. It was
Yeah, I think we can represent that.
seating, or sod versus seating,
There's irrigation.
irrigation, and then fencing and backstops.
And
Those
like-
prices are breaking out. We said lighting one time, but then it was decided that the power company, lighting company is gonna do the lighting, so that's gonna be broken out anyways, out of their price. I think those are the,
And how is the right field resolved? Was it just by regrading and losing field, or was there an option to build retaining, or what?
yeah, no retaining walls,
No
just
retaining.
slope
You just changed the
and,
configuration.
and
So you lose
shorten the
field.
field a little
You
bit.
used,
Right.
you lost 8 feet of,
Yeah, stay out of the,
8
8 feet?
by
Oh, so it did
100
reduce?
feet.
Because
Stay out of
when you were
the,
talking
buffer.
before, it was like 20 or more feet.
How much
Make a
slope
make
is
a
on
mound,
that? Roughly.
yeah, and
What's
there's a
that?
huge mound
Is
here.
it pretty steep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
So-
really, it's like
so-
6 feet high, right?
So that's good.
It's a right field of a potential quote-unquote field in there.
So just to
We cut
bring
it
people
back.
up on what he just said was, if you remember, we weren't sure with the right field, because we had to move it back so we were not in the buffer zone.
Remember how much
Right.
this was, Carl?
But there was talk that we could lose 20, 25 feet, as I remember.
I think
This way.
8
Might
to
have to
10
check the
feet.
records, but that's what I remembered.
Yeah.
By about 100,
So now it's what, 8 feet that we're losing?
it's about 8,
I think
I can't
10,
scale it.
10
out.
feet maybe at the worst.
So 8 to 10 feet that we're losing, which is a lot better than 20 to
10,
25.
yeah.
But not showing a baseball field anymore.
No, we're not,
No,
we're
It's
not
not
gonna
a
put an
base-
infield
it's
in
not a
there,
field.
not gonna put a backstop in there.
No.
It's just a green play field.
What's the quickest the site contractor could get out on these fields to start the work? Is it April, May, June?
Yeah, if we had the go-ahead, he could start tomorrow. The ground's, you know,
he's
not
got
frozen,
equipment sitting on that site, he'd love to move to that site and start
he
running,
could start tomorrow.
because it's here.
Right.
We can bring some extra kids.
Because, I mean, if we could get it seeded in the spring, it could be possibly ready by the fall.
Well, you'd want it to grow again in the fall and then ready next spring,
How about the septic system? They're not gonna start the septic till summer.
right?
Right.
Same thing.
And they'll see that too, and it won't be ready to get on until the following year.
I know this
If
is,
you get on it too soon,
Yep.
you'll lose it all. It'll be worth nothing, it'll be mud.
how about, well, this is, I don't know how this, no, it wouldn't
I
work.
can't do Wednesday night.
I was thinking about using a used turf field just to put over, like, say, the septic area for the summer, so they have an area to play in the fall, have everything out seeded, and then when that comes online in the following fall, you take up the turf, but
Well,
we have to get rid of
We
the turf.
talked about planting ryegrass that would come up quick.
Yep.
And you play on that and kill it, but by then the other field would be ready.
Yep.
And then you give that field,
Switch them.
so you're sort of paying for
God help
grass for one season.
Oh.
But you can sympathize, the kids don't have any soft surface to play on. You know, they've been playing on
Right.
pavement all winter.
I mean.
I
you-
think what we
It's
spent, we
spring.
probably could have put a new turf on it,
I
honest to
think one thing
God.
that has to be looked at too is the end result. It may
Might be
be,
right.
you know, that they're playing on hot top for right now, but the end result's gonna be better than what was there before,
Oh, that's for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
it
I
is
mean, at
gonna
the end
be.
of the day, yeah.
you know? And
Right,
I
it's
know
just a matter
it's, you know,
Timing.
you figure how long, you know, Ellie was just, I mean, Tilly was just saying how long she's been on the school building committee, you know, since 2008, 2007. You know, 6 years, and look how fast the 6 years went by. So what is another year that we have to wait for the grass to grow?
Does it feel fast?
Okay, all right, so I will get back to everybody on if we're going
Poor
to,
Tilly.
um,
Piling on you tonight.
depending
Oh.
on what we get for pricing.
We
used
we
to it.
can let you know tomorrow, Michelle, we're meeting with the contractor
meeting with them
tomorrow,
in the
our
morning.
weekly
Okay.
job meeting, tomorrow morning, so.
Wednesday, that's right.
He may
Okay.
have the pricing right then and there, or at least be able to tell us when we're gonna have it, so we'll be able to let
Go
you
with your
know
boxing
tomorrow.
gloves on.
If I recall rightly, last meeting, Eric was more concerned about, a little bump between fields, that he wanted it all smooth.
Well, we
big
lost
bump.
Lost the baseball field.
It's a big bump.
Big
It's a
bump.
big, oh, good thing he's
It's
not
not
It's
here.
a sledding hill,
Big berm. That's just
sledding
one.
hill.
No, you,
Isn't it a
he
drainage?
was, wasn't he concerned,
or
he
something,
wasn't
or
concerned about the
drainage
hill.
bit?
I
Oh.
didn't think.
No, it was the
There's a
field.
difference between the backfield and the front field.
Oh, it's minimal now,
And
you can see
how-
very
what-
few contours,
Yeah.
2 or
So-
3
That
feet.
was a big
2 or
thing.
3
How about
feet,
the
that's-
green field to the baseball field?
That's what
That's
your
what we're
motion-
saying, 2 or
Your
3
motion
feet.
was very specific. When you made the motion, I
Right.
wrote up the motion. that-
That's why
You were
this
very
other mound
specific.
got
You
higher.
said no more than a
The
2
southern
foot.
part?
Yeah,
elevation
yeah,
left
that's
corner.
right.
Did it.
Right, that big,
But
where all the
that mound-
contours are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mound
that's
grew.
a big mound now.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's fine.
Put some trees on top of it.
Mount
Nice-
Tilly.
Nice place to sit and watch.
And you have the drainage coming through right between the two fields.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a nice place to sit and watch the game. Elevated.
Well, there you go, you got natural,
Okay.
natural stadium, right?
Right,
That's
right.
really gonna look cool. It
Carol?
really is.
How
You're
big
gonna
is
lose those trees though that exist there now.
You're losing all the
A buried
woods.
mount whale.
So,
Well, I wasn't
if you
here.
give us the list,
We missed you.
as Rob
Yeah, I
suggested,
bet you did.
we're happy to give it to the school committee and let the school committee at least look at it.
Mhm.
But I think we have to be clear what we want the school committee to discuss. Because their agenda is gonna be the same as my agenda, which is, we want those fields put in as soon as possible, so those children do not have to play on the tar starting in September. That is gonna be the interest.
Okay.
Now, what that means, I don't know, right? But it
Well,
isn't
that's
gonna
what
be
we, then that's what we
acceptable
need to
have
know
another
from you.
year.
Right, that's,
Or even even trying to get those kids out there, miss the whole fall season, and then, we have to deal with it in the winter. To me, it's unacceptable. It wasn't in the, I understand nobody can control what happened, I totally understand that.
right.
But I think
I-
that for what
We
you're
already
asking,
talked about this.
for what you're asking, Carol, would be sod. You know, and that's costly.
What was my understanding that, depending on when this thing got started, there would be a sufficient amount of time if it got planted this spring to have grass grow as long as we kept people off it for the summer. If it was September, I'm fine with that, but if you're talking about not planting until the fall, then that's gonna literally be
Well-
half the year,
Take 'em off
and
the
it impacts a lot of
There's,
people.
there's other options with that too, just,
And I'm not asking for
There's-
sod, I'm just
Right,
saying.
well,
so-
but there's,
so-
but there's other options with that, just to say it. I mean, it's not an all or nothing too. I mean, if there's fields that are needed and we can do, depending on the budget, obviously, you can do one of the fields with sod, the other ones with grass, if you can't afford everything. So there's some options like that. But the number that interests me, because we're gonna go into this thing with getting a price and not really knowing what that means. And what I mean by that is that we have $1.8 million in the contingency right now. That's all the money we have. So what I would ask Chuck to do, and Carl, is to take a look at that and suggest how much of a contingency we need for the rest of the project, so that we know what our upset limit on this field is. So if you say that we need $500,000 to be sure that we're gonna make it through, then we have a $1.3 million budget.
Right.
And you can play with the numbers, they don't mean anything that what I just said, but you have to, give us recommendations and guide us on this, because I can't see going in and everybody thinking we have 1.8 million, because we don't. We don't have $1.8 million for this. So what number do we have? So if you guys could look at that for us and tell us that number as your best recommendation, then at least we have something to go by here.
You're
Is that
talking about-
possible though, without it?
Well,
No,
hold
it
on.
is.
I wanna clarify
Historically,
something
no.
there. But
Yeah.
you're talking about two different contingencies. You've got 1.8, which was the original contingency we, as professionals, recommended that you put into your budget
Yeah.
to keep for the life of the job.
Right.
Right.
That's not we're never gonna touch that. We'll go to our dying breath to not let you touch that, because that's the buffer we need for these things that Peter gets concerned about. Is this included? Is this included? What you have to look at is not that 1.8, is what's left over from the underbid
For
spend.
the gap.
Oh, so that's where this is gonna come from?
Unless you tell us otherwise, that would be our recommendation.
Well, what's the underbid?
Yeah,
What
what's
number is
the
that?
Well, that
Underbid
was the
amount
$4 million.
It's about 2 million now.
It's 2 million now.
It's about two, all right, so I didn't realize we could do that. I thought it was coming out, literally, that's what I said earlier. I thought it
That's
was
what
coming out of
Mike
our
had explained to us
contingency.
No, but
from
I
previous
thought-
meetings.
I mean,
Wait, 'cause that is different, so,
I'm looking at it here, this is where I got confused.
That's
Isn't it right here?
construction contingency.
But I'm looking down here, it says original construction contingency, $3.9 million. That was that $4 million?
Yeah, then we went into remediation for the contamination.
No, but that was that $4 million difference, wasn't that?
Wasn't that the gap?
Wasn't that
on
the
the
gap?
The original gap was $4 million and $4 million to $20,000 for round numbers.
And
Those
the
are your original.
and the 2.1 million was
Came
taken
out of
from
that
that
4 million,
to give us 1.84.
correct.
So that's our contingency that we're working with, or is that a different number?
Saying it's a different
that's a contingency we're
there's
working
two
with now.
different-
Same number, but it's.
It is.
That's all the money we have, is 1.8 million still.
Yep.
And under,
Okay, so if you guys could take a look at this and suggest to us, because when we went into it and the original was 1.8 million, that was based on the very beginning of a project where we didn't know if there was,
Right.
ledge or whatever. So now that we know a little bit more, give us another number that will take us to the promised land, to the end, so that we don't lose out on this, and that'll tell us how much we have to spend.
We're gonna be we're gonna be very conservative for you, because.
Absolutely.
Because I
Right.
just.
I would
hate
agree with
touching
that,
number.
personally.
I just-
So this
I-
3968 is,
That's what your underbid was.
that's the underbid.
That was the underbid.
And then we took the $2 million out of that, so yes.
Right.
We took that 2.1 out of that, you left your 1,848,973.
But something's not adding up, because if we had, I thought we actually had $4 million
We
under
were.
bid. And we had a,
3.968.
okay, and we had a contingency also on top of that,
Right.
of 1.8, so where's the other,
we're
that's
missing $2
5.8, so where's the $2 million
Where's the
we're
other
missing?
1.8?
it was went into the remediation.
No, that,
No.
yes,
Yes,
that's where it went,
you took
No, you're right.
2.1 in
Thank you.
remediation.
that's where it went. So can you do those numbers up and sort of give us some kind of
Sure.
at this point?
Yeah.
Okay,
Carl
cool.
and I will talk about it and.
Are you talking about the 1,750 in mediation plus the 369, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the two,
That's the 2.1 you're talking
Yeah,
about. Okay.
Right.
All right.
But actually, what percentage would you say the project is completed?
20, they've built
25%.
25%.
22,
25.
25 is done, so you don't
Right
know
now.
what 75% is going to lead, so that's really tough to come
Well,
up
but
with a
Tilly,
contingency.
work.
That's
The
not
good thing,
exactly
a lot of
right.
the site
Big
work,
stuff's
more
done.
than
Big stuff
25%
is-
of the site work is done,
Correct.
which is where a lot of unknowns
That's
Yeah.
where.
on a new construction project.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have to deal with the old school, we still have to deal with demolition,
Right.
some site work there too. So there's reasons to
lot
be
of
somewhat
site work
conservative,
left.
but we won't have as significant, there are really no unknowns in building to building, but there may be some coordination issues, maybe some omissions there that we need to reserve
Right.
something for.
And like you said, the old building and taking
Right.
care of that too, so there's some unknowns still, but I would say the majority of the major possible contingency items are past us, so.
There's an old oil tank to take out.
Right.
We have an
Right.
allowance in there for some bad soil, but
The old
could be
leach
a
field,
lot
yeah.
more.
Dave
knows?
Gilmore, the
Yeah.
old leach field,
Yeah, the little tank.
So, okay,
possibly two.
Sounds like you're not gonna have a tri-board meeting over
yeah,
there,
it doesn't sound it,
is what I'm trying
It's
to.
not ready
many
yet.
things.
Right, so,
Right.
we have to check on people's availability, town calls close on Friday, so we would have to post it.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Well,
Thursday.
Thursday morning at the earliest, at the latest.
But if it's for input, you don't necessarily need
I mean,
quorums.
Rob
Right.
can get their input.
Right, well, that's it.
But I don't know what you're getting.
Right, because, I mean, the other boards don't have to vote.
Mhm.
The other boards don't have to vote. They can send a representative.
I mean, but we can get Carol and Rob to come over and give the opinion of the school, board to us at this meeting, and Stu can get the opinion of, the Board of Selectmen if there's needed, but I just don't know if,
The question I'm asking, Jeff, is what opinion are you looking for?
that's exactly what I was just gonna
You're
say.
Get a list, right?
Right.
And what is it you want them to talk about and questions you want them to answer? Yes, Rob?
I think what, it might not be from the school committee necessarily the specific items, but it would be if the school committee wants the field playable, and that's it, that's the bottom line, that's the, which I'm jumping the gun, but I think that's what I've
Sounds
been
like
hearing.
Right, that's
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
Then, then that is the information that
We need.
perhaps the school committee
Exactly.
throws back here and let
That's
them.
it.
That's
then-
all you want?
What's your
then
point of
Well-
view?
That's it.
Do that.
Well-
That's really
well,
what it is
hold on.
to,
It's that, but it's also, I mean, for instance, we have 2 baseball fields and not a third one, so we have to make sure that's okay, and you don't wanna put in another backstop back there. So that would be another
Okay,
one.
That's another one.
So, and the question on sprinklers or not, well, it's a piece of it. Are you guys gonna be able to take care of it yourself, or should we put in the sprinkler system? So, it's not as black and white as,
see, this is why I thought
trying
just
to bat
getting
around
everybody
right
together
now.
to hash it out in
So.
one thing, because things are gonna come up as we're talking. Because you want it done by the fall. We need to start. Okay, so,
Have we
you
drilled
know,
any wells yet?
we're
Oh, we'll
just,
look for wells.
Vacation.
And then we've got April
The
vacation.
building committee can come to the school committee meeting on.
Are they drilling a well or are they
On what
just
day?
testing?
On
April, they're
Thursday.
gonna
We decided to
Just,
drill a
you
well,
know,
it's
under
just cheap
presentation,
as
just lead a discussion on
drilling
it
a
very
test
quickly
well.
with the committee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
They're gonna do it near the
in other
wetlands?
words,
Yeah.
instead of
I
everybody
just-
going to your meeting, you know, people can come to
Robert.
the already scheduled meeting
where the
and
water is.
have that conversation.
Have it on the agenda.
if we have the pricing for Thursday.
But I think,
I think somebody really needs to step on the contract.
Did they look into pumping out of the
I'm
swamp?
happy to talk to them, because I want him to
Did they test
understand
the
how
water?
important it is.
No,
that
that-
he
they're gonna
get
go
these
down
prices, especially if they think
Are they
they're
gonna
gonna
test that
work
water?
with him.
Like to
He needs to
see if we can
understand
put a
that
pump in
the
the water?
longer that goes on, the less
They're gonna go to
action
the
that can be
aquifer.
taken and
Huh?
there's a consequence to it.
yeah, but I think what, Chuck, I think what you had said is that you wanna give the fields a rest after you seed it.
Well, that's the recommendation of the
That's the
design team in every
recommendation,
project we've
so
ever
why,
done.
you know, I know you wanna meet the deadline, but you don't want the kids playing in gravel either and dirt, because they're not gonna have seed if they're on it too soon.
Right,
So
and
I
that's why-
think you're asking is kind of something that's not gonna
Well, see, but that's,
be the best.
Well, it was
That-
my
that's the
understanding
whole-
that if you planted it in the spring, this is what I was told, if you planted it in the spring, it would have time to grow, and depending on if you put the good grass in there, you know, it doesn't have to be sod, you know, it would have sufficient time to grow.
right, there are options, but we just have to get
I mean,
moving.
it's great if it's for a year, but you can't do a year.
Well, we're hearing the opposite
But there's
now.
options. There's options. I mean, you can take the backfield and you can
You know, we don't
put
have to
contractor's
grow
grass in there
fields. We have
to
everybody.
start it up, to get them out there in the fall, finish the other two fields, plant real grass there, you know, let it go for a whole year, and then take the back one and redo it.
Right, and then, I mean, the
You know,
other
it's just-
option was, you know, getting GAA involved in these, because they're the ones
But it
that
is,
kind of
you know, it's
maintain,
money.
or I think
and
they're the
money,
ones
I
that have
can
been
give you a lot.
maintaining the playing fields,
Now, the playground's not
you
being
know,
used.
so,
We
Touch
mowed
that's
the
in
other
now.
day,
you know,
had the-
but they do the,
No,
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
makes sense, but the back.
so, you know, if we
New
were gonna do that, I was actually
Well,
gonna
it gets
consider
fencing
inviting them
around
as
that
well.
edge, too.
You know, so I
This
just thought, just
outfield
getting
edge.
everybody together, instead of us doing piecemeal, them doing piecemeal, you know, everybody's on the same page, everyone's gonna hear why certain decisions were made
Yeah.
and why they weren't. You know, can we afford irrigation? I don't know.
The levels are
Can we
just
afford,
so-
I don't know what the answer is. Like I said, I didn't even know what all the options are. So I just thought if we're trying to get this done, to get everyone together and try to do it, so, we'll just try to figure it out in the next couple days. We'll follow up with them, see if they get pricing, number one, because we can't do anything without the pricing, and then we'll just shoot out an email and let you guys know what we're planning.
But we're not gonna vote with this triad meeting.
I don't know.
I'm with
'Cause
Carol.
I'm not
I don't-
planning
I
on
don't
going.
see
I don't see a vote.
Try meeting, I really don't.
I see an open discussion as an item. As an item on the Board of Selectmen's meeting, just as an item, and then discuss it as representatives from every group. Just to get feedback, if all we're doing is looking for feedback, I mean, they don't have to vote.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
no,
They don't.
yeah.
They don't. We're
neither-
looking for
So we get
direction from
so we
them.
get their input at the
Yeah.
meeting on Monday, just from an agenda item.
Should have been
It's not a
perfect for
tribe
GAA then.
board meeting,
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
and then we can come back and vote at our, we'll have a meeting next week.
Ryegrass somewhere.
We'll have to have a meeting
I
after
feel
that, like
better with
Tuesday.
that.
If that's Monday, then we go Tuesday,
Yeah,
right? So set up a meeting for Tuesday, and then we'll actually vote, because we'll have all the information by then and get all the feedback from these guys and these guys.
right. That's a
easier.
good deal.
You guys just wouldn't wanna vote on Monday?
No.
I don't think it's right.
Really?
He's not
It
even have the
isn't.
numbers for Monday.
I don't think he's gonna have
Looking
it.
at it going,
Well,
there's no
that's-
way, there's no
well,
way
then-
the
then
numbers
we
are
don't-
coming.
you
But
know.
we can still get feedback.
We can
from
get the
people.
feedback.
All right,
But
so
you
the
gotta
first
really
thing you
push on
need
these
to do-
numbers to get them to get them.
All right, and Chuck,
somehow.
you just,
You can push them as hard as you want. If you push them too hard, you're gonna get higher
we're gonna get
numbers.
higher.
I know.
That's
Because they're
always
gonna
their
go, oh, you
comeback.
want it now,
Right.
then it's.
That's
Yeah,
always their
that's-
comeback.
If
Right.
you want them, if you want us to get them,
Yeah.
massage them, work together with them and hammer the number up, it's gonna take some time. It's
Yeah.
a big project. It's like, there are towns that do this as a separate project. I mean, it's a
Right,
huge
right.
project.
Yeah, well, we're special.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
a special thanks to the selectmen, they put this under our umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know,
Do with
you know,
us.
All right,
What are you talking about?
okay, I'll get back to
Shall we?
everybody.
we had a representative here from, what was it, the GAA fellow?
Yep.
And it was, get it there in a hurry, and we desperately need it, and that's what we heard. So why do you think going in as a group is gonna be any different than what we've been hearing all
Well,
along?
cause we're gonna have numbers and we're gonna have a budget, you know? If Chuck tells us we can spend $100,000, which obviously won't cover it, but just using that as a figure, and we say, okay, here are the prices, guys, what do you want done for $100,000?
I'm ready for
Spray
that.
paint the
You
dirt
know?
green and have at it. Have
There
a
you
nice
go.
day.
But no, but that's the point. You say, all right, this is the budget, and let's figure it out.
Well, let me give you
Kind of my
some
point.
history about the backfields. Because they filled in back there. And those children from Pembroke played in gravel, dirt. There was hardly any grass there at all. That's what you have if you don't plan it and do it right. And I don't want to see, the effort is there, it's needed, but let's do it right.
Right.
I think
Let's
we will
not
do it
go
right.
around again because we're not going to.
No, I think we will do it right. You know, I just want to make sure that we're addressing as many concerns from other members of the community that we can. That's my whole point.
Well, there's so many inputs onto the use of that
Right.
between
And,
GAA
they
and
all
everything
use the
else,
fields,
and then you know, school
Are-
committee,
are
this
these-
committee.
Are these fields all part of school district budget for maintenance?
I think GAA does some,
Well,
helps
GAA
out a
does,
lot,
right, and
you know,
GAA
but we're
spends
responsible
money on
for
them.
the mowing, you know, and, they've taken care of a lot of putting in the infields and.
Yeah, the
back-
infrastructure
GAA
and
has
everything.
done a lot with it, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only field
So
that
then
they're
lights.
really adding is the one that's
it's an elementary school,
replacing the
so you
school.
look at it, that,
Mm-hmm.
but the main use isn't for the elementary kids, it's for the town.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you know, the kids
is
do
my point.
use the playground
Getting
area. They don't use the
No,
fields as
I-
much.
you're
Everybody's
right
getting
on.
me on
No, you're
this. Oh my
totally right on. So.
Okay, so we'll get
So-
back to everybody on that. Once we know if we're gonna get pricing. If we don't get pricing, it's a non-issue, and we'll talk next week.
Move
All right.
on.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Peter, you wanna go downstairs and
Man.